We are back in the Messenger Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and I'm so glad to have everybody back today. We actually have a special guest in the studio today because we got an interesting topic to talk about. This just came up a couple weeks ago, and I happened to run into my good friend, Mike Barbieri. He is in studio with us. Mike, say hi.
Hello and good morning.
Yeah, and well known in the community for a lot of work you've done, my friend, since you've retired, and heavily involved into scouting in the local. You got an Eagle Scout in your family too, don't you?
2 of them.
Yeah. Myself being an Eagle Scout, I have a lot of emphasis on this subject, and now that I have 2 little boys, I'm very interested in where scouting is going, and you've been a key part in that, among many other things in our community. So I was really glad to get you on today and talk about the Boy Scouts of America and what that means and why it's changing.
Yeah, it's an interesting period. You know, we're talking about an organization that's rooted in a lot of tradition, 100 years.
Norman Rockwell photos.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you think back to scouting when it started and what it is now, I mean, there's always been change. That just comes with time.
We know about change being in the Army.
That's right. That's right.
And the Army goes rolling
That's
along.
right.
Maybe they should have put that in the scout oath. And the scouting goes rolling.
That's right.
So it is the Boy Scouts of America, but when does it officially change its name, and what is the new name?
So the new naming is going to be Scouting America, and it's implementable now, but it's going to be a slow rolling implementation. So you'll start seeing it in merchandising, branding, websites and things like that over the next year.
Right.
I believe it's next May.
Okay.
That the official, after that point, everything will be Scouting America.
How does that affect long-standing troops and scouting and explorers? I mean, what is the motivation behind it? What is it that because a lot of people are going to go, well, I'm not doing that no more. And, there's news out there about people pulling funding and some other stuff. I mean, I don't think you should do that yet. I mean, listen to what we're talking about because there's a lot of reasons. I know I was told recently that Scouting America or scouting, there's a lot of nations. And if you don't know about Boy Scouts of America is not just Boy Scouts of America, Boy Scouts of Japan, it was Boy Scouts of China, all around the world. There's scouting, and many of these organizations have already changed from the Boy Scouts to scouting of nations.
Right. That's correct.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
So scouting is a world organization. It was created, outside of the United States. Remember, Baden-Powell created this. Yeah. And it's a worldwide effort, right? And so over the years, most countries have branded themselves as scouting insert country name. We're just one of the last few that have held that specific boy-specific title. But scouting hasn't been a integrated and co-ed organization for decades. Most people don't realize that because they see the name Boy Scouts of America, and it is a little deceiving. That is the parent organization name, but under that umbrella, multiple programs have been created over the years. Many of those have been co-ed. The biggest one being what we know now as venturing, but really started as an explorer program. That was back in 1969, where they had young ladies enrolled. In 1969, they weren't fully enrolled. It was a slow integration. So in 69, they were allowed to be associate members, young ladies were. And then about a year or so later, it opened up to full membership. But we've had young women under Boy Scouts of America for better part of 50 years.
Yeah, women scout leaders too. Not just men scout leaders. There's been women scout leaders and a lot of change in our environment over years. You've actually seen a lot of women stepping up in the role where men were no longer able to step up in the role for whatever reason, and political, economic, social requirements. And the moms have done a great job trying to carry water, doing that. But the root of scouting has always been about, and I've always stuck to this about scouting, citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, and citizenship in the world. Those core values are taught through scouting among the many other plethoras of skills and usable skills through life.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing was that it teaches somebody how to be a better citizen and representative and a steward of what they have and what God gives us.
That's correct. That's correct. When you look at most of the angst that people have, some of it comes from just lack of seeing the whole situation or not really knowing what the missions are of the specific organizations. A lot of comments you'll hear about, why can't girls just be in Girl Scouts? Girls can be in Girl Scouts. The problem is the programs that are facilitated under any organization are only as good as the local leadership allows them to be on the ground implementation. And what happened over the years, so many things have been created. You got to look at what options are available for kids now versus even when we were in school. Look at the extracurricular activities, the number of sports programs, the travel sports programs, the robotics teams, the insert this, the band activities, and it's significantly more than what it was. I would say even 30 or 40 years ago, the options were less. So the items that were available were full a little bit more. More participation because those were the options. So as more options came available, things thinned out a little bit. Of course, some cultural stuff happens, and people have their own opinions of things, so that changes what they put their efforts into. But really, at its roots, Scouting hasn't changed what it does. It's a values-based organization. It preaches trustworthiness, reverence, courtesy, kindness, and good citizenship, like you said. So it's a great opportunity for youth. Period. I look at it as leadership development. We're growing our next generation, and we need more programs and more involvement in those programs from our youth so that we can have the best generation we can coming after us.
Well, to that point, every organization is as good as its leader, you said, quote. And outside of Scouting, unless you're part of an organization that's providing that type of leadership, you can only otherwise find that in team sports or something like that.
That's right.
And depending upon your coaches and staff, again, leadership depends upon the type of skills that you carry on in life. Now you're going to carry on a skill in a sport, but it's limited to that sport, whereas in Scouting, it is unlimited. It's up to the potential of you and your potential and where you want to go, because there's so many opportunities that come from Scouting. Absolutely. Like you said, I mean, robotics, who'd have thought that? I remember Space Camp was a big one, just look at what they've evolved to today. But it's interesting you say it's only as good as its leaders, and it's important that we emphasize there are great Scouting troops in the Meade County area, Radcliffe and Fort Knox, and this is like a large area. I remember when I grew up, our group was in the county. Here you're a multi-county area, so it's a lot different here because there's a lot more land and reach in order to under the association for here.
Oh yeah. So when I talk about the implementation as good as the leadership, the programming, Girl Scouts of America is very similar in programming to what Boy Scouts of America has been. They can go camping, they can do all of those things. But when you think about when Scouting gets started, we'll go back 100 years. When Robert Baden-Powell started Boy Scouts, and his sister is the one who created Girl Scouts a couple years later. She actually called it the Girl Guides. And the missions were very similar.
Yeah.
But over the years, we look at societal gender norms and things of that nature, where it was more that what was considered a traditional gender role. Dad took the boys to Boy Scouts, Mom took the girls to Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
And the things that they did were drastically different because of how we viewed society at the time. You go back and think about the traditional mom.
Hey, you belong in the kitchen. What do you think you're doing out here? Yeah, no.
And so
that's not what it's about.
That's right. Young ladies don't go camping, right? And that was the mentality. And over the years, we realized, well, we probably shouldn't be thinking like that.
They did in the 1800s when they did the Western movement. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So when we look at that, I think of the inclusion of young women, specifically when we talk to the Scouting piece for Boy Scouts of America. Bringing an opportunity for young women to participate in a leadership program, how can you not think of that as a good thing? It's just an option.
Yeah, mom and dad could be at the same place at the same time, encouraging both genders of their children to do the same thing. And I get that. And some people might be disturbed by that, but I you know, like you said, we have had women in scouting since the 60s with the explorers and now the venturers. In fact, we have a few troops around the Meade County area. I believe the Akron Fire Department has one that's very much co-ed.
So across Lincoln Trail District, which is kind of our region here in the state, there are multiple girl-only troops, right? And that's an important point to make, is that when they allowed young ladies to come into the umbrella of what Boy Scouts of America had, the troops had to be all one gender. You didn't have co-ed troops. You had all boys in one troop, and then you had all young ladies in another troop. So, excuse me, they are doing a pilot program right now that they're talking that could be considered for the future, where they do have co-ed troops, but they're targeting very specific needs. To have an effective troop, you have to have involvement, you have to have support, you have to have personnel there to make it happen. And there's just some communities that are too small to have separate boy and girl troops. And so they're looking at potential ways to make that happen. And people are like, oh, boys and girls together, and you know, that's what's been happening since 1969 when exploring and venturing came to be. That has been co-ed that entire time. There's some specific guidelines and rules, safe scouting rules, leadership requirements. If there are any young ladies involved in a troop, there must be a registered female leader. And so there are a lot of protections that are put into place, safeguards, to ensure the safety of everybody involved. So it's important that everybody understands that it's not just we're just throwing a bunch of kids out.
Yeah, scouting does not need another black eye. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and background checks and all that other stuff too. So it's come a long way over the years. I mean, it had a black eye a while back. It's probably still carrying some of that lingering. But as they move forward into this, a more unified organization where all people are, you know, women and boys are equal, and they get the same opportunity to learn and grow in a safe place. So in Meade County, how many, you know, troops and packs are there?
So right now, I believe we have 2 of each, I believe, in Meade County specifically, but we have so many right in the immediate surrounding areas. You get into just across in the Vine Grove and the surrounding counties.
So if you're at Fort Knox and you're a parent at Fort Knox,
there is a troop on Fort Knox.
Yep.
So, and it's constantly changing. I mean, because especially with the military community, you have people coming in and going out. So there's always a little bit of flux, but there are plenty of opportunities for families to get involved in the scouting program. You know, and I recommend it. I've been scouting all my life. I was a scout as a youth. I was a parent of scouts. I have 2 Eagle Scout.
Getting ready to be that myself, hopefully.
You know, my daughter was in the venturing you know, crew here that was here in Brandenburg. She really got frustrated with, she was a Girl Scout, and she got frustrated with what they were doing, and it wasn't what her interests were. She wanted to go do the stuff that she saw her brothers do. She wanted to go camping. She wanted to do those things, that you know, the hiking and that type of stuff. And again, it's dependent where you go. So I always tell folks, you know, get out and explore and see which troops and packs are in your area, and go visit all of them. Make sure that it's the fit that you and your family are looking for. Each chartering organization that supports those packs and troops has different values. It might be the Baptist church in town. It might be the VFW. It might be, you know, a private organization that's sponsoring it. All right, there's a lot of options there, and there's quite the spectrum, you know, of values and beliefs, you know, that are attached with that. You want to make sure that you're getting involved in something that aligns with your own personal beliefs and your own family values. So it's important that folks get out there and kind of test the waters a little bit. Go make sure that they're going to fit in well, and it's going to be a good environment for the kids.
So if you wanted to learn more about scouting, you can go to www.scouting.org. Their website, I've already changed the name on the website line, but it still reads Boy Scouts of America on the top page. I'm sure that all these changes come through. Look, you can read about all the negative Nancy stuff about it. You can read the positive stuff about it, but I'll leave that to you to make your own opinion. But at the end of the day, the scouting program is not going to change as far as the content and the purpose of what scouting teaches our youth today. It is still going to be the same program, and you're still going to have the same neighbors that are leading it, that are parts, I mean, they're like family. That is from our community. These are people that are invested in our children, that care about the growth of our children. So the name may change, but the faces and the places are not.
That's right.
And the programs that they bring and deliver to the youth of our children are going to be here. So final thoughts, Mike. What is it that you would encourage people as this transition change happens? What's the final thoughts and encouragement you would want them to have?
I would ask them to get out and check it out for themselves. Go visit a troop. Go talk to a young adult that's in the scouting program. For the last decade or so, I've been the advancement chair for Eagle Scouts. I've been that coordinator. And we often hear, oh, this generation, in a negative connotation. You need to talk to these kids. The kids that I see coming through this program and the development and growth that they get from it, no matter how long they're in it. I don't care if it's 6 months, I don't care if it's 6 years. They are better for it being a part of the scouting program than they would if they were not involved. And it's growing amazing young people that are going to really be the leaders of our, the next generation. It's pretty inspiring to see, and I love that I've gotten to witness it over these past several years.
Well, I recently got to attend a community event at Roberts Family Farm. Made a donation to help support the Lincoln Trail, or Lincoln Heritage Council is the council that runs our district. And you can also get information from their page. It is lhcbsa.org/council/Lincoln Trail. Just type in Lincoln Trail Boy Scouts of America and it'll pop up for you, so you can go there to find out who's running what and where these troops are located. From there, that's got the whole list of all the Boy Scout troops and the leaders. I don't know if it's all up to date, but it is a good point in the right direction, and at least the Lincoln Trail office, they can at least point you if the information isn't accurate. But Mike, I just want to say thank you for being on the show today. It's always great to see you.
You as well.
You've given so much to this community, and you keep on giving. And today, I think you're giving a little bit more. So I appreciate you coming on. For everybody else out there, what I can tell you is there's a lot of great things happening with the Messenger. The Messenger KY. We were at Fort Knox last night for a community event brought together by Hardin, Bullitt, and Meade County. And the commanding general of Fort Knox, his graciousness, as always, General Davis, and the PAO department out there did a great job hosting, and it was a great opportunity for the Messenger to be out there as we are now moving into Radcliffe and Fort Knox, because those are our neighbors, folks, and they're part of this community. A lot of folks that live here, work there, and vice versa. And a lot of people come here from Fort Knox because of our tourism, which has some really great numbers. You should get over to the Meade County Chamber and check that out. But just want to say thanks for tuning in and turning on. I hope you get a chance to watch this in its entirety, because the information is important to know. The people that are leading our boys and girls in the community in scouting are amazing, and they're doing wonderful things. Talk to you guys soon.